1st, 1999, more than 1,000 people lined the banks of the Kennebec River in Augusta, Maine. They had gathered to witness a rebirth. The ringing of a bell signaled a backhoe to begin digging into a retaining wall. The crowd erupted in cheers as the Edwards Dam was breached. Quickly, the entire dam was removed, and the Kennebec River, which had not run free since 1930, was back in business. And what had originally been a thriving home to thousands of fish and wildlife had since become toxic and polluted and a dumping ground of toxic waste. With the dam's removal, first there was just a trickle, but then there was this huge gush as the fish quickly found access. So the shad and the alewives and the Atlantic sturgeon started moving through quickly. It took a couple years, but the seals came back. And with that, all that fed on the seals. Soon there was this rich biodiversity had returned. So here's what I've been thinking. What if we could start breaching the dams that are getting in our way in our ability to communicate with each other? Because like with rivers, our communication has become seriously dammed up. We have gotten so many forces pulling us apart. People are not talking to each other. And many of us do not know how to talk to people who don't believe the way we do. Most lack the courage, the desire, and I would say the skills to know how to talk to people who do not share their views. And as different sides become more and more entrenched, the damming turns toxic. And this is where it gets dangerous because we start showing contempt. We start name calling and dehumanizing others. We've forgotten that we're part of the same human family. We're an interdependent species. And like with the river ecosystem, we need each other to survive and thrive. And we especially need each other during times of crisis. But how do we begin? How do we begin to breach the dammed up communication that in this really highly polarized times? I'm going to offer 3 tips for us to get started. Number 1, we can choose to be present. Our communication is only equal to the quality of presence, is something I said in my book, River Logic. But what is presence? And why is it so important? I want you to listen to some qualities, and I want you to think about somebody in your life who models even a few of them. Curiosity, empathy, openness, authenticity, candor, warmth. It's likely you feel good in the company of somebody modeling those skills. You probably feel seen and heard. Likely you feel respected. That's why presence is so important. But presence is challenging even in the best of times, especially in our very distracted world. Our biggest distraction may be what lies within us. According to the researcher Ethan Kross, 1/3 to 1/2 of our waking time, we are not living in the present. Where are we? We're worrying, we're planning, we're thinking, we're chattering to ourselves. The Buddhists tend to call this our monkey mind. It's what our mind does. Our mind wanders, but we can choose to bring it back. The fastest, easiest interruption I know is to take a pause. When you feel triggered by something somebody said or did, or you find yourself totally distracted, you can take the pause and take 3 conscious deep breaths. We've already begun that, but we're going to do it together. Maybe you can put your hand on your belly. And what you're going to do is you're going to feel your belly and your chest expand. And as you take the breath in, you say to yourself, inhale. And then as you exhale, you just say to yourself, exhale. It's that simple. Do a couple more. So inhale and exhale. Now notice how you feel. This simple tip actually helps you start to self-regulate your nervous system. Because when your nervous system is activated, it's hard to be present. It's really hard to listen. So we need to start with ourselves. Are you ready for the second tip? Number two. Number two is now we can listen with openness and curiosity. Rivers come together, it's called confluence. I like to think of the same with listener and speaker. When we come together, we create a stronger force. We are choosing to listen to each other, not necessarily in agreement, but in relationship. Our goal is to listen and learn, to understand them. If we're lucky, they'll return the favor. We start with asking open-ended questions that come from genuine curiosity. What makes this so important for you? How do you see it working? What are you hoping to see happen? The best questions start with what and how. With your intention to understand, you are listening for somebody, you're listening underneath their words, for their fears, their hopes, their intentions. Your goal is to really understand, but here's the game changer. Now you want to reflect back what you heard, listening for that essence, not in that annoying way of parroting. You say something like, what you believe, or what you think, or is that what you meant? You are really listening for what's important. You want to make sure you got it, so you say, did I capture it? Oftentimes you didn't, so you may need to say it again until you hear them say exactly. We can completely disagree with someone, but we can still try to understand why they feel the way they do. Now for the third point, we need to look for and move through the openings. And this is what water does. And what is an opening? It could be a smile. It could be a nod. It could be those little moments that you hear commonality, things you agree. We both have one kid. We both love chocolate. We both live in the same kind of town. We both grew up poor. Who knows what it is? But those kind of commonalities create an opening between you. So the river doesn't give up. The river opens, flows, adapts, and persists. Well, so can we, one conversation at a time. Thank you.